All right. Here's to hoping.
We are in person. Ben is real.
I'm real.
He actually exists with flesh and bones. I wasn't convinced for a long time.
Yeah.
You seem computer generated.
You've seen me eat a donut.
I've seen one.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lie.
It's hard for robots to do that.
I've eaten more sugar in the past 48 hours than my entire life.
Yeah. I've definitely
Amish donuts from Philadelphia. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
And cheesesteaks, but that's not sugar.
Yeah. Many excess calories have been consumed. All right. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks for your patience. We were a little bit late getting set up here. We're live here in Philadelphia. Really excited to bring in some folks a little bit later to talk about just what's going on inside of Philadelphia. We've had a pretty cool time over the last couple of days. They gave me a pin. They didn't give me a pin. No. Yeah. I'm not loved, apparently. Apparently not. Yeah. Brian. So all that being said, if you can let us know where you're coming in from across the world, drop it in the chat. We love to see where. And if you're in Philadelphia, come to B+ Labs and come hang out with us. Yes, in like 3 minutes. Leave now, and you might be able to get it on the live stream. Just come to B Labs, tell them that we sent you. Excellent. Okay, so I think where we can start before we bring in some folks just to talk about the biotech space inside of Philadelphia. Let's just kind of give our impression so far. What do you think of Philadelphia? Jeff? Well, I'll tell you this. There was yesterday morning I wanted to get some coffee and I need Starbucks, and I put it in my GPS and I ended up at a Starbucks about a half an hour outside of the city, and that was quite fun. And then to get back into the city was about an hour and a half because I made about 14 wrong turns because there's too many streets for Google Maps to take care of, and I have no idea where I am. So, and it was raining outside, so that was probably my own fault. Yes. But the city is very populated. We can say that. Yeah. It's very walkable. I think Brian said it's the most walkable city in the country, which is nice. And everywhere you look, there's new universities and new biotech companies popping up everywhere. So it's a good hub for biotech. And we're currently looking outside of the art museum, and the Rocky Steps are over there. Pretty cool. So I've had a blast. What about you? It's been good. Just before I go any further, so yes, Alfred, great to meet you at Advanced Therapies yesterday and the day before. That was awesome. We will be talking in the future. Super cool. I think were you at the restaurant in the reading terminal or whatever it's called with the Amish sandwiches where we ordered it at the Amish place? So. That wasn't him? No. Okay. Well, it looked like you. Yes. Anyway, regardless, great to meet you, Alfred. Anna, yes, we'll have to check out Federal Donut. I have a clamshell of 4 different donuts in Jeff's car right now that I'll be taking home. Probably shouldn't buy more donuts than that, but I will keep that. I'll keep that in mind for next time. Yes. And then Stuart, great to see you from Berkeley. It is a little bit sunnier here in Philadelphia. It was rainy and chilly yesterday. Yeah. So you're getting the weather we had yesterday. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Well, for anyone else who has joined, let us know in the chat where you're coming in from. Always great to see that. We have a bunch of different people who are going to be coming in. Can we get the door shut there? That'd be great. Thank you. In the meantime, we're just giving a little bit of our takeaways from Philly. Jeff was already griping a little bit about the traffic, but aside from that, it's a big city. You can't avoid it. You can't avoid it. For me, it's been pretty cool over the last couple of days. We've gotten to see a bunch of really cool therapeutic developers, some of them being inside of AAV, which I love. I know AAV recently has been going through a bit of a hard time, but it's really cool to see some of these early stage companies with really promising data and moving towards the clinic in a really promising way. We got a chance to interview some of the folks who are working on AI inside of cell and gene therapy, developing memories for labs and all this different stuff. That's really exciting for the next generation of therapeutic development, but then also making sure all that memory stays inside of the labs. So that was super cool. And yeah, just overall, like you come here and you're just impressed by the density of everything inside of Philadelphia, so close to each other. You've literally got like CHOP, you've got UPenn, you've got all of these different incubators all around it. Everything is within walking distance. Beth, you're in the dentist's office and you're spending time with us. That is next level dedication. Yes. Yes. Thank you for coming. Top fan energy. Big fan energy. Yeah. So that was super cool. We are currently inside of B+ Labs, one of the incubators. Super cool space. You look at the building coming in, you're like, holy crap, this is awesome. So that's probably where we're going to start. We have Bob, who will be joining us. Bob, if you can make your way around the table. Come on over. We'll try and scooch over and give you a spot here.
Let's see if we can get us all in there.
All right, you might have to give him your microphone,
okay,
and then you and I will just share.
I'll just share. Hopefully this isn't wrecking the sound. Here you go.
All right.
Perfect. Bob, could you introduce yourself, please?
Bob, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Bob Ravinsky. I'm the Associate Director here at B Labs. And first of all, I want to say, I know you don't have a love pin, but Philadelphia's got plenty of love for you and everyone else that comes here. And
I don't feel loved, Bob. No.
And anyway, next time, consult me on a coffee shop because you do not have to leave inner city to find a lot of wonderful coffee shops.
I needed a drive-through.
That are right
drive-through.
So, well, there's plenty of walkthroughs.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway.
Super cool. So yeah, we're gonna, Bob, you're kind of like the biotech version of Dwight Schrute. You live on a farm outside of Scranton. You grow blueberries and you have grown beets in the past.
No cousin named Mo.
No cousin.
There's the qualifier right there.
Yeah.
So I don't currently live in Scranton. That's where I grew up.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Okay,
Yes.
so I don't drive 2 hours to work every day.
Dedicated to the commute.
I have dedicated to commute. But I certainly do go there often. And here's a little pitch. If you want to go outside of Scranton, Pennsylvania, Bill's Blueberries, the week after July 4th for about a month, you can pick them.
Right on.
Right?
This episode is sponsored by Blueberries.
Bill's Blueberries.
Perfect.
All right, there you go.
Excellent. So yes, we're inside of B Labs. We have a video coming forth about kind of a tour, a breakdown. But yeah, what was kind of the thesis behind founding B Labs? What kind of role does it play inside of the Philadelphia biotech ecosystem?
Well, the role that it plays is giving startups, resident companies a landing spot to start their company, and I'm going to say keep their head down, if you will, in their science, and providing a space, I'm going to say from a macro standpoint, where we have best-in-class facilities, but then we layer that on what we certainly consider a space that's operated with operational excellence, and customer service is our focus.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm. The thing that I thought was really cool that you guys have as well is you kind of have like undergrad lab spaces and then like graduation lab spaces. So if you only need like a single bench, you can come here and get that. And then once you've gotten a bunch of funding and you're going to take your therapeutic to the next level, you guys have the facilities to just move up a floor as opposed to trying to pick up and go somewhere else.
And you are exactly right. So you could come into our space and literally lease from one bench that was mentioned up to a lab space or multiple lab spaces with perhaps about 20 bench spaces. Again, included in that, what's important optimally in an incubator space is not only the space, a bench, it's the sophisticated equipment that you have access to. So here at B Labs, we have about $5 million worth of, again, which is typically essential, equipment for that startup. But what's the startup scenario most times? Limited resources. They can't afford to buy that $400,000 to $500,000 piece of equipment, but it might be very essential to their science to hit their data point, right? Gain that information, gain more funding, continue to scale, grow, and again, like was mentioned, perhaps from that one bench to a lab space, and then up to this graduation space where it's a suite, where you walk in there and you have certainly laboratory operations, but then you have your administrative spaces, including like the conference room like we're sitting in right now, and then other desk space and your other offices.
Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, and like I remember like just looking out the window, so like the Philadelphia library is over there, Spark Therapeutics is over there, UPenn's over there, CHOP is over there.
Lots of big windows, which is good for your mental health.
Yes. Exactly.
Well, that is part of the design. Plenty of daylighting, like you said, to keep your brain healthy, right? Mm-hmm. So, but what you just mentioned is that sort of that ecosystem, which is essential, for that startup, that you have access to innovation, like you mentioned, University of Pennsylvania, CHOP, Drexel, Jefferson, Temple, and so on. So it's not only that little IP that might be available, but it's also the talent that develops that IP, at least initially, and then that talent pool to draw from as you scale your company, that we have that available. And then we're in Philadelphia, and again, we're literally next to 30th Street Station, the main hub of transportation, public transportation, where Amtrak is along the Northeast corridor. So you could be in Philadelphia, you could go to New York, you could be in Boston in 6 hours, again, New York in 1 hour, or you could be meeting with the FDA down in Washington in less than an hour going southerly.
That's sick. Yeah, I always forget like how central Philadelphia is. I always think it's like, like, forgive me for the Canadians, messing up U.S. geography. I always think like Philadelphia is further south, but it really is situated amongst everything else. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Bob. Really appreciate you taking us through it. And we've got a couple other people that we'll be bringing in.
We got a whole walkthrough video coming out with Bob. You're gonna
yes,
all right. Big thing.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Excellent.
It's
Thanks
nice,
so much.
nice
Bob.
meeting you, gentlemen.
We'll just need the microphone back. Thanks.
I thought this was a door prize.
Okay, Chris, glad to hear the sound is good. And yes, looking forward to who's next here. Okay, perfect. Excellent.
Hello.
All right. Is it okay if we take you one at a time? Yeah?
Sure, we are together. So
Okay.
I mean, but one
Awesome.
time, want me to go first?
It just might
we
be
can come in.
challenging to get all 4 people in a frame.
Well, we can make it work if you want to
Excellent.
try.
All right, we'll just give you the microphone. You can hang on to that.
Hold on
Okay,
a minute, yeah.
perfect.
Okay, am I fitting in?
Yes, we'll
Okay.
zoom in a little bit here. Okay, can you introduce yourself and who you are? But your name's already on screen.
Oh, hi, Ben. It's nice to see you again. And I'm Ben.
Hi, my name's Jeff. I'm
Nice.
not named Ben. I feel left out now.
Yeah, all the cool people are.
I guess so.
So,
That's why I'm not named Ben.
yeah, it's a rare thing. Ben Fryer. I'm the CEO of Pluristics. We are a tools and product supplier for groups that are trying to make advanced cell-based products that start from a pluripotent stem cell.
Awesome.
And so we offer both. We have a supply of human embryonic stem cells, but mostly we supply induced pluripotent stem cells, and we have a proprietary method, patent pending, to make them. And then we can also expand them, pre-expand them. We can also edit them. And so that's kind of what my company does, and that's why I was here in Philadelphia for this week.
Nice. And so, like, for an early therapeutic developer, what's the challenge you're helping them solve?
So the most value for any company that's trying to develop a therapy is to get that first human dose that shows that not only is the drug safe, it's got to be safe, but also that it's efficacious. And until you have that first signal, it's very hard to raise any capital, to make any progress in a clinical trial. The FDA doesn't really want to allow you to have a follow-on trial if all you've shown is safety, but no signal for efficacy. So we all agree that that first patient and that proof of concept that your therapy can actually treat or cure a disease is critical. The problem that is, I think, plagued pluripotent stem cell derived therapies for the last 25 years, and this has been nonstop 25 years, and I've been part of this a couple times, is that companies get stuck in the raw material procurement part of the cycle. They can't find a cell line, or they find a cell line, and then when they try to go to a regulatory or they try to get freedom to operate through a business development deal, they can't access the line. Either they're prohibited by regulators or they're prohibited by license or rights. And so, or they get a line, they covered all their bases, they think, and then the line technically fails.
Right.
And it happens. And so what I was trying to do when I started the company with my co-founders, and what we've been trying to do for the last 7.5 years, the company's 7.5 years old, is to answer those questions so that you can answer and address the question about regulatory. Can you make sure that the product works, and will the business terms, the licensing terms, be affordable and feasible for you to be able to develop a company and raise capital that is enough that you can afford to run a clinical trial and pay for the line itself? And so these were the pain points I learned early on in my career in developing cell therapies. And so that is what we do in terms of how we develop our product. We're trying to make sure our customers get to that first drug product treatment of a patient as quickly as possible and painlessly as possible.
Right. Go ahead.
So do you guys also do differentiation, or is it just the iPSC generation and genetic editing?
We do differentiation to show how the cells function, but we don't specialize in differentiation.
Yeah.
As you, I'm sure, know, but I'll say it for the audience, there's 200 plus cells and tissues in the body. We could make any one of them, but I guarantee our customer will make it better than us. So what we'll do is we'll say, well, we know we can make T cells, NK cells, cardiomyocytes, beta islets, but we show that to show that the cells will work, but we don't do that unless the customer asks us to do it as like a contract work. So we have the capacity to do differentiation. We do it to prove the cells work, but we're not the company that sells a differentiated cell product.
Sure. And what are some of the regulatory hurdles that you guys have noticed that you're solving? Because for me, I'm not familiar with that side. So when I hear, an iPSC-derived therapy, I just think the company can make iPSCs, they're good to go. But apparently it's much more complicated than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the interesting thing about what a regulator wants is relatively straightforward. Okay. They want to know that the product has a known traceable path. How was it made? What were the raw materials? Were those raw materials made in a safe and reproducible and traceable manner? Mm-hmm. They want to know that the place where it was made was clean and testable, and there's some record of what was done. The operators were trained, like kind of the standards for anything that you consider to be clinical grade. Where you end up in some potential trouble is effectively if you're using one of the early lines, there may not have been proper donor testing within the normal 7 to 14 day window that was required by most regulatory bodies. And then the consent form. Is the form consented to say that the donor knew that you were going to make a product that would be commercialized, that could be infinitely expanded, that there might be genetic testing of that you could potentially identify the donor and their family, like all these kinds of questions. The older consent forms, some of them are predate, the whole full genomic, revolution we've gone through. So the early lines that are available, some of the first lines were developed in 1998. The HES lines. Some of the first IPS lines were developed in the late aughts, like 2009, 2010, 2011. They're just too early. And yet that's what a lot of developers are using. So that's where they get stuck. They get stuck on material that isn't ready for today's needs because the line is too old.
So out of curiosity, what is the most common starting point for an iPSC?
I think it depends on where the customer is trying to take it, or the developer. So I think if you're trying to make, say, a CAR T from an iPS cell, oftentimes those developers want to start with a T cell because there's this idea that there's a limited plasticity. I don't think it's true, but this is where I think a lot of the developers go. They would like a T cell to make a T cell. If you're not making a T cell or an NK cell, I think it's wise to start from a more stable population, which would be most likely a fibroblast. And that could be a skin-derived fibroblast from foreskin fibroblast, or it could be from cord. But in that case, basically you get a young, healthy, plastic donor. Then in that case, now you can do the reprogramming. You can turn the cells back into iPS cells. And now that is a population which could potentially be made into any sort of end tissue. So it depends, most likely T cells or maybe fibroblasts or mesenchymal stromal cells is the starting material.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Perfect. And what's kind of the future looking like for these types of cell lines to enable the next generation of therapies?
So for this to work, you look at the two big therapies that are out there that are close to, I think, becoming the big thing that took 20 years to build. And so this is in my industry view, the big thing is clinical trial from Bayer Blue Rock to treat Parkinson's with dopaminergic precursors. That is really
cell therapy for Parkinson's.
Absolutely. And
it's in phase 3?
It's in phase 3, and the phase 1 readout has been really positive.
Sweet.
And then the other one is a product from Vertex. They've got a treatment for type 1 diabetes, so insulin-dependent diabetes, specifically in brittle patients which have a glucose, when they get to low glucose, they don't necessarily sense it, which means they're always at risk of a diabetic coma. Those two products are in phase 3 clinical trials, and if they work, as I think they will, I think that's going to change the entire way that our industry is looked at. But then your question is, what does that mean for like the new and upcoming programs? Both of those, Bayer, Blue Rock, and the Vertex programs require pretty significant immune suppression of the patients. The next phase is going to be effectively cloaked or immune privileged stealth cells. And so what we have, and this is a little bit of a product pitch, we have a product which we're developing. We actually are just right now collaborating with Breakthrough T1D. We just announced it this past Monday, this week, about 3 or 4 days ago. And
breaking news, ladies and gentlemen.
So, and the idea is that the line has a safety feature where you could eliminate the cells if they are a problem in the body, and then there's also immune cloaked And so that you don't have to immune suppress the patient. And what that does is it opens up the market to the many, many different people who could benefit from the therapy. So that, because you can imagine an elderly patient, a child, they're not going to be able to take immune suppression for any period of time.
Yeah.
So if you want to give this therapy to people who are really like delicate or endangered or need extra care, you can't give them immune suppression. Our product would actually be the raw material to make those kinds of products, which would treat patients.
Now, when it comes to the stealthing, did you guys partner with like a Shinobi, or did you make it in-house?
So we licensed the technology from Assigné Health Systems at University of Toronto.
Okay.
So it's
Nice. There you go. Canadian technology. It'll probably break.
We do love Canada, and I will also say that we merged with a company called Pancella. It was a spin out from the University of Toronto.
Nice.
And both the fail-safe switch and the IAC technology, the allogeneic technology, are both licensed out of a Canadian institution. So.
Nice.
Love it. All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Ben from Pluristics.
Thank you, Ben.
Pleasure to have you. Thank you for dropping by, and we look forward to seeing cell lines that are far better equipped to allow the next generation therapeutics to do phenomenal work.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, Ben.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. Oh, just before you go, there is a question from Chris Spivey. Ben, number 2. Do you use laminin 521 or similar?
Laminin 521.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, what kind of cryptic thing? What is this? Laminin 521.
Give us a 30-second
kind of passcode.
So there's
Hail Hydra.
So there's the company that sells it. It's called Biolamina, and Biolamina sells multiple different versions of laminin. I just learned this today, so it sounds like I'm pitching. I'm actually not. I just learned this. I love to share little bits of data. There's 16 different forms of laminin, and they have an alpha, a beta, and a delta unit. And so they put them together, and so they're coded off of the 1, the 2, and 3. So the 5 is the first unit; it's the 5th version. Then the 2 is the second version, and 1 is the first version.
Okay.
So you combine them, and 521 is the 3 units.
Got it.
And it's the 521 laminin is a laminin that is found inside of the original blastocyst.
Yeah.
And so it's super friendly to pluripotent stem cells. They love it.
Awesome.
And so we use that. Like that's our go-to. So,
Okay. Well,
excellent. Perfect. Excellent question. Thanks for coming back,
Thank you,
Ben.
sir.
Thanks
I'm
again. Perfect.
Nature Pub on phase 1 trial for those interested. For Stuart, what was that for the Parkinson's thing? If you can answer us, or he answered, he just put the
Nature
paper
Pub.
in there.
For those interested, we can't
I can't click on that. Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll look at that later.
Excellent. Okay. Perfect.
Thank you, Ben.
Right on. Okay. Next guest in here, also from Pluristics, but we're going to discuss things a little bit differently.
Okay.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Priya Baraniak, and I am the Chief Commercial and Development Officer at Pluristics.
I do bite, so be careful.
I bite back.
Okay. Perfect.
Got weird.
Moving on. Anyway, yes. So what's your job? What's your role again at Pluristics?
So I sit on the board of directors of
Right on.
Pluristics, and I also am the Chief Commercial and Development Officer.
Sweet. Excellent. So shifting gears here a little bit. You spent a lot. Are you based here in Philly?
I'm
or-
in Westchester, PA, just about an hour away. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So yeah, I would love to kind of get your thoughts on how the ecosystem inside maybe Pennsylvania as a whole has grown and where you kind of see it going into the future.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're sitting in the heart of cell-based therapies right here in Silicon Valley, as they like to call it.
Yeah.
And so we were just talking about this outside with B Labs. This is such a beautiful facility, by the way, here. And got a great view of the art museum and the Rocky Steps,
can we
which is
see
super
it?
fun.
Or is it going to blow out? Hey, there's the library.
It's right
you can see the
there.
library.
You can
see it.
Yeah, you can run those steps Rocky style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's walkable from work. There you go.
Yeah. And so, there's just so much going on here. And the ecosystem's booming. I love that the companies that are being spun out here are actually, a lot of them are staying in this area. I'm from New Jersey originally, although I was born in PA, but I'm a Jersey girl.
Nice.
And so I do like seeing everything that's happening here. It's really cool.
Perfect. I guess like with regards to what we we're just talking about with Ben, for cell therapies, what would you kind of see going into the future? Do you think we will see more and more like in vivo approaches, or will there always be a dominant place for actual cell therapies?
I think we're going to see all of it, right? And we tend to be pretty binary in our thinking. I think just as humans, we have a tendency to be black or white, this or that, right? And it's really going to take a mix of everything depending on the patient population, you know, the modality, what disease we're treating, and what we need to do. So I think there's going to be autologous and allogeneic for the long haul. I think there's going to be in vitro and in vivo, and there's going to be cell-based methods and exosomes and organoids. We're doing something in that space, you know, and that's really taking off. That's actually what we were doing this morning here in Philly at B Labs.
Can we talk a little bit about that?
We can, okay. So we have launched a consortium for organoids. The
breaking
formal
news,
announcement,
ladies and
breaking
gentlemen.
news.
2 in 1 show.
Yeah. Formal announcement will be coming out hopefully next week. But we have 9 other industry partners who are leaders in cell and gene therapy who have complementary tools and technologies. And we are coming together to set reference standards and to put forth workflows that will actually help us as an industry execute on FDA 2.0 and the Modernization Act. And then, you know, just this week, the UK, or last week, the UK also announced a very, a really grand plan to cut down on animal models and move away from animal testing by 2030. And they've given a roadmap. We're still waiting for the FDA to do that here, but we're not going to wait. We're going to
jump the gun.
Do it. Yeah.
Excellent. And so this is going to be focused primarily on organoids.
Yes.
Okay. So what, like, tell me a little bit about like the companies you brought together to look at this. Like,
yeah.
Are we going to be looking at, you know, the whole systems where you kind of like put a bunch of chips together? What's the thought there?
We can,
like,
yeah.
What's kind of the roadmap with regards to like, what's the ideal way you think to use organoids for clinical testing?
Yeah, so iPSCs are really the foundation for this, right? Because we can differentiate the cells, as Ben mentioned, and you talked about, to any cell type of the body. We can use them in a very personalized approach, right? I could bite you and take that piece of skin and reprogram that to make iPSCs from you. Wouldn't really be sterile, but you know, we'll figure that out. Yeah, contamination could be a problem. But we can reprogram them, and not only to treat you potentially in a personalized way, but to test different drugs and therapeutic agents, right, to see how they're going to affect your body very specifically.
What is the timeline of those? If you want to do a personalized organoid model for like actual clinical trial testing, what would be the timeline from biting me, getting my cells, and making an organoid to test it and get the results in time to kind of make a decision?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it depends on what we're differentiating it to, but from a reprogramming standpoint, we have a proprietary mRNA reprogramming technology. So it's not your Sendai virus or a viral-based technology. It's only a 30-day reprogramming process. So we could get to your iPSCs rather quickly. And then we have a ready to differentiate, the only organoid kit on the market with these high density cell banks that are already suspension adapted. And so we thaw them, we seed them into suspension culture, and overnight we have thousands of uniform aggregates that are ready to be differentiated into organoids. And so, you know, if we're going to say a neural precursor cell, we can get there in a week from there. If we're going to something more like liver, it could take, you know, several months for us to get to that lineage and have that ready to test for you. So it really just depends.
So is it mostly for like a preclinical testing thing, or will it be used in tandem with certain clinical trials in the future?
I think we're going to see it really be used more in tandem with clinical trials. Again, not only can we start to phase out animal testing, reduce the number of animals that we're using for certain models, and we know it's broken, right? And 90% of clinical trials, animal testing is not actually predictive. It doesn't work.
Wow.
And so
I'm a cancer guy, and mouse data for cancer is just, I don't even know if I believe any of it.
So, and then we can also cut down on the number of patients that we need for clinical trials, right? So instead of a phase 3 being 3,000 patients for a small molecule, maybe we just need 300 patients now because of the predictive power of this technology.
So just a question with regards to this, could you almost do like some sort of accelerated clinical trial where, let's say you've got a patient who's sick, you can actually take their skin cells, you run the whole organoid thing on that person, being like, hey, this is probably going to work. let's stick this in you right away.
Yep.
We can kind of go from preclinical to clinical in like one shot.
Yeah.
Could that be
that would be
a
awesome.
potential?
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
Okay.
If it's that predictive, if you can prove
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But then also like it could also predict like this isn't going to work for you.
Right.
Sorry, we won't put you through this.
Yeah. So if you have, a few different treatment options, you can work with your physician and with, whoever else to say which treatment option is going to work for me. And especially in the realm of, cancer patients where we're talking weeks.
So much
You've got to treat them quickly, and you've got one shot a lot of times, right? With these patients, it's quite literally life or death. And we might be able to now know what is going to result in that positive outcome for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's huge.
Perfect.
It's a really exciting time to be in this field.
That is very exciting.
Yeah. Really
Awesome.
cool stuff happening.
Well, looking forward to that consortium. That's going to be super cool. Very excited
Thank
to
you.
follow that. Priya, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you, guys.
I appreciate you coming all the way
Good
in.
to see you.
And we look forward to following that. It's going to be
Thanks.
super awesome. Thanks again. All right, folks. Yes, organoids for the win, Chris. This is going to be good. All right, so we're on to our next guest here. And Patrick, come on, sit down. Excellent. All right, we'll get you in here a little bit more. We'll just push the laptop a little further away. We'll give you
Your
that.
microphone, sir.
Oh, you can just hold
Just
on.
hold on to it?
Yeah, excellent. All right, we'll just need to make sure that you're inside of the frame here. So we'll get you this.
Yes.
Yeah, just move your.
Oh my
I'm
gosh,
trying my best to be
There
as
you
small
go,
as possible.
small as possible.
I'm so big, I can't have it.
All right. Can you introduce yourself and what you do?
I'm Patrick Dettinger. I'm the CEO of Cellport Software. We're a platform, a laboratory platform, kind of in the vein of an electronic notebook, laboratory information management system, a manufacturing execution system. Just come up with whatever name you want.
Yeah,
That's right.
it all sounds fancy.
Yeah, that's right.
So Patrick and I, we shot a short video earlier today. And the one thing that we were talking about that's really interesting is just this idea of labs with memory. So could you elaborate a little bit on
Yeah,
that?
so in the current sort of laboratory environment, whether you're in academia or industry, capturing the data, why experiments were performed, how data was captured, the results of that is still a little displaced in different types of storage systems, from paper to the 3 or 4 different types of digital systems I mentioned. And one of the challenges that it goes on in the industry, especially in the cell and gene therapy space, is that transfer of knowledge from a person to actually the lab, because there's a lot of turnover. Right now, we've gone through some rough times in the cell and gene therapy space, and there's been a lot of churn. Well, every time we lose someone, we actually lose some institutional knowledge with it. So can we build tools that better capture what they're doing? And not just what they're doing, why they're doing it. So there's a concept out there of data with context. We have digital tools today that capture things, but we want to capture it in context. Yeah. So that's sort of the Cellport mission, and that's where this labs with memory come from.
So do you guys implement any kind of AI,
Not yet.
talk to the lab kind of thing?
No, not yet. That's coming.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges we see that AI has, and a couple of them, there's usability features, which AI, we have some features that can be used immediately, and that's just an experience. As far as reaching out for data and pulling it and collating it and asking questions and prompting, data's got to be structured a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And as we described, if the data is in a bunch of different formats, from paper to this digital format to an instrument over here, bringing AI in without a strategy to be able to actually read consistently across it, it's just a little, for
dangerous.
us, it's premature. It's for us, it's premature. Now there's other labs that are working on this, and that's fine. But for us, so our initial focus is continuity of data structure.
Sure.
Now, no one cares about data structure unless you're a data scientist or you want to go actually find data from the past. One of our fun little exercises is you would ask a lab, how long would it take you to go find some data from 3 years ago?
Oh, boy.
And usually see a lot of eye rolling, mainly because it's like, where is it? How do I search it? How do I access it? And that's
One
still
more
an
like,
issue.
why are you asking?
Yeah, why are you asking?
I get
No,
nervous.
absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's the concept. So this issue of, hey, listen, if we had a platform that started standardizing a lot of this, and what's unique to the cell and gene therapy space is that these cells are living things and they're constantly changing on us. Sometimes we cause the change, but a lot of times we don't.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that whatever systems we're working, we have the ability to track and trace everything it's doing. And that's actually one of the initiatives that we're under. So what our platform does is focuses on this concept of introducing the ability to capture data very easily and as upstream as possible. In fact, the change we believe that needs to happen in the industry is it needs to begin in academia. 100%. And there isn't a single academician who is going to support what I say, because they're going to, a lot of the arguments are, you're going to restrict my creativity, you're going to restrict my freedom to act. And I would disagree with that, partly because the tools we have today and the technology is there to let this happen more efficiently. So, yeah.
Okay, we've got a question here from Alfred asking about it. Do you have an option for predictive modeling similar to JUMP? Where does that come into it?
Okay. So we do not, the predictive modeling, the JUMP that I used, and Alfred, I have not seen the latest versions where they're maybe doing some AI and prediction on it. We actually structure the data so you can do that work. Right now in our system, when we capture it, everything we push to, a data warehouse, and mostly data warehousing now, where you can use the BI tool. So we're a big Power BI shop. So you can actually then start in real time as you're capturing it, start recording the data and visualizing it that way. As far as predictive models, we're not there yet. Our focus is right now is getting everyone to adapt to within a lab of how we capture data and how we structure it.
Right.
The modeling is going to come from it. The predictive stuff's going to come, but I need the data structured a certain way.
Yeah. Could this help with like publication preparation and things like that? If you just can't,
if I were king, you would not publish anything in a journal unless you could actually demonstrate that you've tracked and traced the lineage of both your cells and your ingredients. And in fact, I would spend my time at NIH saying the same thing. We are not going to give grants until you start tracking and tracing lineage of cells. And we look at it. This isn't like
replicatable too, right?
Well, yeah,
it's a crisis in academia right now.
Well, and part of it is that great stuff. The science is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's all this other noise of how do we capture it? How do we structure it? How do we move progress along? And the big issue is, one of the tools we have is this really interesting visualization of lineage. You have the descendants of a cell line, but when you get down to that one experiment that worked, everyone will ask the question, are you sure you know what you're working with?
Yeah.
Well, then we want to go back and look at the ancestry. And in our system, we do it effortlessly. I mean, it just comes along for the ride, and it's visualized. So we also introduced a slightly different concept. This is a tool that combines what we envision a lab should entail. Right. And a lab is really just four things on its simplest. It's just materials, it's equipment, it's protocol, and people. Whether you're doing research or you're in a GMP environment, those are the four keys. And if you view it that way, and think about it, I just need to make sure I tie those things together. Right. And that's what we've done.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I would like to back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Jeff and I are still pretty wet behind the ears in terms of biotech. You've been around a little bit longer. It's starting to get some dandruff. I would love to kind of get your perspective on how biotech has changed over the last 25, 30 years, and kind of based off of where you've seen it so far. What kind of excites you for the future? Maybe you can just sprinkle a little bit of what your background is too.
Yeah. So a little background. My background came out of school. I got into the ability to deliver drug delivery systems.
You were a drug dealer.
I was a drug dealer. Yeah, and
Interesting.
To be very good, I wasn't very good at it, so I had to find another profession. Yeah, there we go.
You're under arrest.
Yeah, and in fact, the company, but my career started at the bench, and I was a scientist at the bench, and I worked with these things called liposomes, which are also known as lipid nanoparticles in today's jargon.
Yeah.
And in '88, we were tinkering with putting a gene inside these lipid nanoparticles, which is an extremely hot topic right now. In '88, when we were doing this, I had, this is pretty visionary. that this would come about, but we really struggled pulling it off and the company didn't make it.
Sure.
But at the time, I remember telling myself, this stuff never worked. Why would anyone use it? And here we are today. Everything cycles back and forth. So that's a little history on it. Then it moved through delivering, figuring out how to get a gene or a small molecule or something delivered to a particular site in your body. How do you get it across the skin, across the cornea, your gut? These are the things that they're sort of focused on. But eventually it evolved. And I got into, I started a company with a colleague, and he was a subject matter expert in working with cells. And we began using cells and having them interact with a small molecule like metabolism and drug permeability, a lot of category of pharmacokinetics, rates, extends. And our expertise in cells eventually started migrating over into the cell and gene therapy space, because a lot of the work we were doing, we were culturing cells and we were being audited by the FDA, the EMA. Yep. Eventually, and that's how we got into the space. Right now, the science in the space is just, it's awesome. Yeah. Gene editing, gene delivery, all of this stuff, the cell therapies are there. The job security component of it is, one, no one understands it, so we're going to be around for quite a while trying to pull it off. But we do see the outcomes of a lot of it, and some of it is just remarkable. And what has also changed, you said, in the industry, is you can sit in a room with a lot of people on blood pressure medicines and you wouldn't know it. Or you can sit in the room with a bunch of people who should be dead from cancer, have been treated through some form of regenerative and they're alive, or they can see, or they're treated for something, and it's breathtaking. So it's really exciting. At the same time, though, we are going through a little bit of turbulence here of understanding, like, what is the business model? Sure. The science is great. We've just got to bring those two together. And that's, you asked where we are today. I sort of feel that that's where we are today, and we'll figure it out. It's just that it's going to take some time.
Nice. Okay. We got a
question from Chris. Why didn't, here, can I click it? Show? It doesn't want to. Okay, there we go. Why didn't co-laboratories take off 20 years ago? It looked highly likely, to your co-publishing point.
Co-laboratories, I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm not sure.
Hopefully we're under, sorry, there we go. Hopefully I'm answering your question. I'm asking that, maybe we don't quite understand, Chris, if you're still there.
Yeah.
Why didn't co-laboratories take off 20 years ago?
Yeah, to the publishing point where he said, can we trace it? A couple of things. If I understand the question correctly, one, it's a good question, and I would have wanted that to happen before. That says, listen, give us some evidence of the lineage of this stuff, because there's been a lot of publications on irreproducibility, especially at the early stage research, which you understand because people are unconstrained and it will slow them down. A couple of things have changed, though. One, we figured out how to adapt a lot of the technologies out there to actually make the experience for a bench scientist. So if we look at this, any tool we use at the bench, for a scientist to use should almost be an extension of their hand. One of our greatest tools, right, is the hand. So you want something that whatever they're using makes their life easier. Yeah. It just has to be done, or adaptation is painful. And there are enough scientists out there to tell you that they've had technology shoved down their throat. You got to use it this way, and it's just painful. Yeah. If we use that concept where the technology we introduce at the bench becomes sort of an extension of the hand, just as long as that thing doesn't bite them, they will adapt. And I think that's getting back to this issue. We have that now. We have the ability with the technology, with cloud, with scalability, to make the tools that a bench scientist use actually dramatically improve how they can accelerate their work and become more efficient at it.
Right. Okay. Someone is maybe interpreting Chris's comment, which is just, he may have been curious about the reasoning for one company having a competitive edge over other startups in the space. I guess maybe it's just kind of back to this point of, why haven't we had data systems like the one you're describing up to this point, and why do you think it hasn't taken off yet? Why didn't this happen in like the early 2000s?
Well, actually, the reason we built the system, a little history on this. I had a CRO that did this work, and we were being audited by the FDA in our cell culture work and the EMA. The reason we built it was because the questions they were asking were like, okay, where's the lineage of the cells? It was very, very simple. And we had to pull out all the paperwork, and we had a big conference room, and we're pulling this out. And we went out to look for products. So to answer the question, why didn't you buy something on the market? We would have had to totally retrofit it. None of them were built cell-centric. The platform we built was built from the ground up. If you look at most ELMs and LIMS and MES systems, they're either coming in from a traditional small molecule or industrial automotive. They're coming in and they're retrofitting them. The whole cell world in this lineage was just not something that had been seen before. So we did not build we did not buy something. We said it'd be easier for us to build it. I mean, the secret for the audience out here is when an auditor shows up, can you give them all the information as soon as possible and make it easy for them? Because you want them out of your building as soon as possible. Yes, you want them gone. And that was the whole objective. Make it easier for them to get what they want and get out. And that holds today. So that's what we built. So the question is, why didn't this happen already? Some of it is the approach. Some of it is the combination of the technology. But they're all there. We simply assembled it, but we also came from the ground up, which I think actually makes a big difference, because you will see a lot of big well-known names retrofitting, companies adapting, but we think it misses on a lot of points, And the one point being, and of course we would like this, but a system that is consistent on how data is captured over time.
Yeah.
And this is where the AI tools come in. This is where consistency of data, that's sort of the future part, but that's for us just unleashing it. We just haven't done that yet.
Sure. Very good. Awesome. And you're based in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah. We're registered in Texas, but we are a Philly-based company.
Awesome.
We're a Philly-based company.
Very good. I want to get your perspective on, again, like what do you see as some of the selling features of Philadelphia, right? If you're going to be building your biotech anywhere in the world, what do you think most people miss when they're considering different spots about Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philly has it's very affordable. I think on a global scale, if I'm looking at the other markets, now I should tell you that the CRO I owned, we had operations in Boston, we had operations in San Diego. Right. But our
not
headquarters,
exactly known for being affordable.
No, that absolutely. So Philly has a wonderful ecosystem, especially from the cell and gene therapy perspective. And, it's just sort of undeniable between, the activity going on at Penn and the stuff that has come out of there has been absolutely remarkable. And they've been committed to it. And there's an alignment of how the city has responded to it. But the sort of the epicenter of a lot of this activity, which became commercialized, came out of here. And so from that perspective and being affordable, you're on from one perspective, it sort of checks the box of an Eastern Seaboard operation. Right. West Coast, you still got to fly out to the West Coast and everything, but it gives you quick access into Europe, because whether I'm flying to West Coast or Europe, flights aren't that much different. Just, it's just different time zones, but yeah. So no, go Philly. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Are you an Eagles fan?
I am. I'm a transplant. I've been in Philly for about over 30 years, and my kids were raised this way. Everyone's adapted. We are big Birds fans. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Very good.
I'm a Bills fan, so
it's funny. Are you from Buffalo?
I am.
Yeah. So are my parents. So early on, when I was a little kid, I was sort of this attraction until I visited there, and then it was during the winter. So that pretty much ended that.
I'm out of I live in Virginia now.
Yeah, there you go.
Out of the snow.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So I guess if we're looking into the future, there was a little bit of a comment from Chris here as well, just with regards to what might be really interesting with a system like yours as well. Just will be like traceability for like patent disputes and stuff.
Absolutely,
that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and also the historical perspective. So there are a couple of things about the system that we wanted to put in place. Is one, all that transparency and traceability, and we do this at the research level. Because the system has a full audit trail.
Right.
Truth be told, we built the system for GMP and we moved it up into research. And then we did not know how to turn off the audit trail. So everything you do is tracked and traced. It just comes with the system. Sure. and it is extremely affordable. When you get into the GMP world, sort of it's a different beast because of additional things, but it is the exact same system. For patentability and all of that stuff, absolutely correct. When you can actually show that you have the lineage of showing this, it's mission critical. It's essential. And as soon as it's captured, it's recorded. The other thing that goes to that point is there's a thing called data integrity and that is really big, and everyone emphasizes this point. But one of the things that they missed, and we saw this during our audits, and when you go back and look at data in context, is communication integrity. And the issue there is that there are so many platforms, from Slack and Outlook and WhatsApp and texting. We have in the system built into it that the communication can stay right at the step of the experiment that you're doing. And looks just like a Slack channel, but everything's there. So if there are questions back and forth, if you want to take a picture of something that happened in the lab, you attach it. You take it, attach it, ping your boss who's traveling halfway around the world and said, we haven't seen this before, what's your interpretation? The boss comes right back into the system and comments right at that step.
Yeah. Right.
So when we're looking at the historical record, I've got now it's not just the data being recorded, it's data in context.
Yeah.
And there's people, and I don't know who to attribute this to, as a contextual data hub.
Right.
It's where it needs to reside.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very good.
Hope we answered the question.
So
I think so.
All right. So I guess just as we're wrapping up here, again, for I guess, like, if anybody has any questions about the Philadelphia space, we've got a couple more minutes left here. I guess one that I would have for you, right, especially as someone who has come to Philadelphia, you're a transplant. If I were a company that's spinning out of Boston, or I'm spinning out of San Diego, or one of these other centers, and I want to consider taking my business somewhere else, what would be some recommendations that you would have for someone who's thinking of coming to Philadelphia?
Yeah. So obviously one of the things you look at is the talent. Where's access to the talent? And this is where I think sometimes in the areas that aren't sort of in the bigger cities with well-known research institutions, and an ecosystem. Now that's a plus and a minus. Because during the biotech boom in the Bay Area, we'd pull into a parking lot and there would be 20 companies.
Right.
And we would then go back 3 months later after a visit to all 20 of them. And we'd go into the meetings and we realized that the employees had all switched companies, but they did not switch their parking spot. It was the same one. So you run into a little bit of it. You run into a little bit of issue of that. But what's a deeper issue in my mind is making sure that the talent pool is there, and all the affordability. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You go into these areas, you go into the higher rent district, you go into San Diego, it's going to be more expensive. You go inland there, it's less expensive, but then you don't have the talent as much. Here they have it. It's sort of not an issue. And so they've got that checkbox. The other thing that I think is very important is, and I go back to is the affordability to do this, because everything takes 2 or 3 times longer than you ever anticipated. And that run rate, and we're seeing it now, the run rate on this it's just more affordable. I think the cost of living is less, space, laboratory space, I think is less, and all of that. And I think that's really sort of the more powerful tools to this. I don't have a problem with Boston, but it will be more expensive.
Right.
So, I don't have a problem with San Francisco. It'll be
no hate
expensive.
no hate on Boston people.
No haters
San
here,
Francisco.
but we don't like the Patriots. So there you go. I said it.
Go Birds.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yep.
Really appreciate your time.
Yep.
Patrick, thanks so much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. All right.
All
Should we round out here,
That's
Jeff?
a wrap.
Yeah.
That's a wrap on Philadelphia. That's
Yes, indeed.
just the most cliche.
Ooh, and Anna is just pointing out here, if it'll show.
Does your thing not work?
Dr. Carl June recently selected by U.S. News and World Report
Nice.
as the top 25 leader in the U.S. for his pioneering work in cell therapy. That is well deserved.
Leader in the U.S., like total.
Yeah.
Like overall. Yeah, that's huge.
That
deal.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a video I did yesterday. If you want to go check it out, one of his recent grad students just graduated. She was working on some really cool stuff. You should definitely go check out that video if you'd like to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the June lab and where they're going next. Cool. Well, I think we can end a couple minutes early here, Jeff.
Yeah, we're doing good.
Any last questions from anybody? We can give you like 30 seconds if you want to get your question in now.
It's the final.
But yeah, guys, if you are ever in Philadelphia, definitely go to Reading Terminal and get donuts from the Amish bakery there. They are to die for. I'm from Canada. We have some pretty good donuts. These ones were better.
Yeah, and if you're gonna go to Reading Terminal, make sure you get the what is it? The Denix Philly cheesesteak.
Yeah.
Or Uncle Gus's.
It puts you to sleep. It's amazing. I wolfed down 80% of it and then realized that was a mistake.
The last 20% was probably not required.
No.
for your caloric intake that day.
Yes. Yeah. I probably blew my calories by 50%. Sweet. Okay, well, we're not seeing anything, so we'll probably leave it there. But thank you, everyone, for coming. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Bio to Bedside, live from Philadelphia. We'll aim to do more of these into the future as we get around to different cities, maybe even different countries. Wink, wink.
Ooh.
So stay tuned for that. Oh, what's coming in episode 27, Stuart?
Yeah, figure that one out.
Bold of you to assume that we think that far ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. We do have some guests coming up. I don't have it right here in front of me, but we trust that it will be worth your time. The next episode of Bio to Bedside might be international.
The next episode?
Yes.
Oh,
because
okay.
I'll be going to the place.
Paris.
Yeah, the place.
The place that no one knows about yet.
Yes, definitely. So
not a spoiler.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. Until next time, stay strong and may biotech continue to go on. Go birds.
Stay strong.
Okay. Whatever.
Cut it.
All right. Bye, everyone.